Discover the incredible truth. My daughter-in-law's wedding band led to a touching transformation. Sarah stood in the narrow hallway of her small, modest home, the faint echo of laughter and clinking glasses from Jake's pre-wedding dinner floating through the walls. This was an event she never imagined attending, not for her son, proving just how bittersweet life could sometimes be. When Jake brought Lily home, everything shifted. The whirlwind of plans, colors, and expensive invitations ought to have delighted her, but the invisible chasm between their worlds loomed larger with every passing day. They were supposed to celebrate love, yet a nagging unease clawed at her heart, whispering reminders of her humble roots against the backdrop of Lily's affluent family. She took a slow breath, squeezing her eyes shut for a brief moment. She felt unrecognizable in this glossy new world. As the evening unfolded, conversation drifted to uncomfortable topics. It was during a lull that Sarah overheard Lily's mother, the elegant matriarch, keenly discussing the upcoming nuptials. "I'm just worried about how the families will mesh. It's all about social standing." Sarah's heart sank, the words piercing through her like shards of glass. She felt her muscles tighten, a growing knot of anger and self-doubt churning in her stomach. Were they truly judging her family based on her financial situation? What about the love she raised her son with? The long nights spent at the hospital, the sacrifices, the love and dignity? The stories of her father's dream to open a community health clinic, unsung and shadowed by bills and obligations. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Ignoring the momentary distraction, frustration bubbled inside her, making it hard to shake off those cold expressions when she entered the room. Her father would have been proud of her resilience, proud of the integrity that shaped who she was. Could she stand up to this insatiable judgment? Her role as a nurse felt so trivial in these elegant surroundings, defined by status rather than compassion. The very thought sent her spiraling. Her heart ached, driven by the urge to confront the bias that clung to their words. The pressure of impending shame left her breathing irregularly, pulse racing, as she sought reassurance from herself. She would not allow them to see her falter or retreat. When did she become something to be scrutinized? As tension swelled, Sarah's resolve crystallized, ignited by raw determination. She knew she needed to step out from behind the title of a nurse, embodying something far greater than the clinks of champagne meant to signify celebration. But with each passing moment looming like a storm cloud overhead, she faced the greatest challenge yet, wrestling with her fears while standing up not just for herself, but for her son and the metaphorical legacy she wished to build. The wedding loomed ahead, laden with unspoken judgments. Caught in that chaotic storm, Sarah would soon have to choose whether she would bend to the relentless tide of societal pressures or emerge as a beacon of compassion and self-worth. The uncertainty surrounded her like a film waiting to burst. Would she dare to rewrite the narrative that had been spun around them, or succumb to the weight of financial disparity? The anticipation crackled in the air as she envisioned every moment, desperately hoping for a resolution that felt more like a dream than a reality. Sarah's heart raced with clarity as she stood at the threshold of the room, her breath hitching in her throat. It was not the laughter or the chatter that filled the air that invoked such anxiety, but the overwhelming need to transform her insecurities into strength. As she adjusted her posture, willed herself to stand taller, she felt a tide of resolve wash over her. She embraced the daunting task ahead, not only to confront judgment, but to confront herself. Closing her eyes momentarily, she forced herself to recall her years as a nurse, a profession defined by both compassion and resilience. With every shift, every late-night call, she had fostered healing, bridged gaps between life and death, and earned respect in a field where empathy often went unnoticed. Yet here she was, feeling small in a space that held little regard for struggle. With determination simmering beneath the surface, Sarah moved through the crowd, weaving through conversations that seemed to glimmer while simultaneously drowning her spirit. The more she inhaled the air of extravagance and comparison, the more she felt a fierce desire to rise above it. She had spent years nurturing Jake as a single mother, raising him to appreciate authenticity over appearance, a value she longed to uphold today. "Sarah, my dear," boomed a voice, jolting her from her reverie. It was Lily's father, an imposing figure with a confidence that bordered on arrogance. "Are you excited for the wedding? The best vendors in town, of course." His grin practically radiated wealth. "Thrilled," she replied, her voice steady, each syllable a calculated measure of defiance. "It's a celebration of love, after all." The casual dismissal of her response barely registered with him. He launched into a discussion about the exclusive flower arrangements. Each word from him was like a challenge. She was about to retreat, about to slip back into the shadows of sacrifice and self-doubt, when a sudden realization struck her. This was her son's moment, a culmination of dreams they had built together. She excused herself, seeking a quiet corner, her mind racing. In a world dominated by wealth and social superiority, how could she contribute to this event in a way that honored her values? Just then, an idea sparked. What if she could blend her nurse's heart with the artistry of the wedding plans? She began to consider ways to intertwine her knowledge of health, beauty, and community. She envisioned creating a space at the reception that celebrated meaningful relationships, perhaps even a tribute wall where guests could share their own stories of love. Determined to share this vision, she returned to the gathering, seeking out Lily, who was engrossed with her bridal party. Approaching her with a newfound focus, Sarah embraced openness. "Lily, I've been thinking about an idea for the wedding, a way we could honor both of our family stories." Lily turned, the sparkle in her eyes suggesting curiosity rather than the judgment Sarah had anticipated. "I'm listening." As they began to exchange ideas, an internal evolution took place. Sarah felt herself stepping away from the margin of self-doubt, immersing herself instead into the vibrant pulse of the event. With every word spoken, every plan shared, she harnessed the tension of her earlier fears, molding them into bridges of connection. But still, a shadow lingered. Was there more to her awakening than revitalizing a few walls adorned with reflections of love? As she planned and envisioned each detail, an unsettling thought emerged. Was she ready to confront the potential fallout among the families at the wedding? In that moment, Sarah faced a critical decision. Would she allow this new role to reshape her identity on her own terms, or would she allow the judgments to cloud her light as the day approached? The weight of her choices settled onto her shoulders, heavy yet invigorating. As the evening continued, the realities of social disparities weighed dimly against her growing resolve. With thoughts racing, Sarah recognized the necessity for deeper metamorphosis, not just for herself, but for Jake, for everything they had overcome together. And as she turned from Lily and looked out at the room bustling with expectations, she realized that her greatest challenge awaited. The time had come to face unyielding prejudices, to redefine her narrative amidst unforgiving glances. A gust of determination swelled in her chest as she prepared for the next confrontation that would either cement her growth or threaten to unravel it all. Would she have the courage to step forward and declare her worth before it all culminated at the altar? The strumming of the guitar faded as the celebration continued, transitioning into a symphony of laughter and soft murmurs. Sarah's awareness sharpened in the midst of the vibrant scene. Each decorative detail and each smile intersected with a visceral reminder of her own journey, a path paved with sacrifices, yet illuminated by the wisdom gleaned from both joy and pain. The wedding had initially seemed like a moment held captive by privilege, but now it appeared as a platform, her platform, to affirm her worth. As she and Lily began sketching the framework of their idea, Sarah felt the shards of uncertainty that had previously threatened her confidence begin to melt away. What if we create a wall where guests can jot down a note about what love means to them? A testament to shared experiences, she proposed, the idea flowing effortlessly from her lips. To her surprise, Lily's face lit up. "I love that. It'll add a personal touch that's truly meaningful," Lily responded, her enthusiasm infectious. In that moment, Sarah discovered an aspect of herself that had lain dormant under layers of self-doubt. Not only could she contribute, but her perspective as a nurse imparted a unique lens through which to address the event's intimate nuances. The room, once indifferent, morphed into a tapestry of connection and compassion, each thread woven into the larger narrative of love. But as excitement bloomed, so too did echoes of doubt. What would her involvement mean if it challenged the unspoken hierarchies that governed these social landscapes? Could she bear the scorn that would inevitably follow if her idea was perceived as distasteful or insufficiently refined? Her heart quickened. She was not merely an onlooker anymore. She was an active participant in the discussion of values that transcended wealth. "Sarah," Lily interrupted her thoughts, "you seem distant. Are you okay?" "Yes," she replied, though the truth sat heavy on her tongue. She hesitated. While this moment was empowering, it unmasked the fear lurking around her newfound resolve. "I just want to ensure that what we create resonates with everyone without any backlash." "What's the worst that could happen?" Lily said lightly, yet the suggestion jarred Sarah. Fear of judgment had been her constant companion, and now it dared her to confront its grip. She shook her head. Was she truly ready to step into a space of vulnerability where feelings of inadequacy would be spotlighted? As they sketched out outlines, Sarah realized Lily's unyielding support might be the antidote she needed to face her internal nightmare. Being accepted and valued without conforming to rigid ideas of worth based on social status was not merely a wish, it was an act of commitment she had to balance. She made a choice, hard as it was. She latched onto her vision of the wall of love stories, determined to make it a bridge not only for themselves, but to stand as part of her identity within this world designed to exclude her. Let's invite guests not just to write, but to share a memory if they're comfortable. It could ignite conversations that matter, she suggested, hopeful but anxious. And just like that, the idea took root. There, amidst an atmosphere thick with opulence, Sarah carved out a dynamic that encapsulated the essence of her journey, a simple nurse with a groundbreaking vision of communal love. But as inspiration consumed her thoughts, the nagging shadow of judgment still loomed. Who would scoff at her idea? Would it be enjoyed or mocked? Facing this collective's expectations would demand more than resilience. It would demand genuine courage. As the evening drew to a close, a thought emerged, igniting a new layer of determination. If she could confront the judgments of those around her, could she also wrestle with her own sense of worth? Realization dawned. Her growth wasn't defined by others' perceptions, but rather her resolve to lead a life unapologetically aligned with her values. The celebration continued as she mingled with guests, weaving connections where there had once only been barriers. She could feel insights crystallizing within her, hinting that her path had only shifted gears. Confidence surged, but the shadows loomed larger, testing her resolve. As she took a step back to admire her surroundings, Sarah recognized that in this dance of courage, she had more than just her story to confront. The wedding was mere days away, and the culmination of her efforts could exalt her journey or threaten everything she had worked to forge. Would she be able to unveil her true self as the curtain opened on the pivotal day? A new challenge awaited, one that would test the new layers of her identity against the sharp edges of critique. The dawn of the wedding day broke with a pristine stillness, the kind that suggests both promise and peril. Sarah lay awake, tangled in her sheets, each thought a reflection of her internal turmoil. Would her wall of love stories be embraced, or would it be dismissed as yet another ill-conceived notion? The question spiraled, mingling with a fleeting sense of excitement. Today was not just about the couple. It was her moment to assert her presence in a world that often felt alien. Downstairs, the house bustled. Relatives flitted like fireflies in the pre-wedding light. As she navigated through the throng, the palpable energy made her pulse quicken. Sarah took a deep breath, reminded of the stakes that lay within her plan. This was about more than written notes. It was a reflection of her identity, a bridge to her past experiences, and a chance to reshape her narrative. When she arrived at the designated area for the wall, her heart raced. Everything had to be perfect. She pictured it, a tapestry of the heart, stories swirling around a central theme of love, a space meant to spark conversations and challenge assumptions. As she stepped into the role of a creator, she began arranging the materials. Each twine and paper reminded her of the courage she had uncovered in the last few days. "What do you think?" Lily appeared beside her, leaning against the wall. Her presence was reassuring, a reminder that support often came in the most unexpected forms. "It's beautiful," Sarah replied, still focusing on getting the details right. But her mind flickered back to the doubts that shadowed her. How would the guests react? Would they appreciate this medium of vulnerability, or would it be ridiculed as gimmicky? "You look tense," Lily observed, her perceptiveness uncanny. "You've put so much thought into this. Trust yourself." Trusting herself was the crux of the matter. Could she peel back those layers of self-protective hesitation when each interaction felt like a fragile mirror reflecting her worth? If this were to be her stand, she would have to dispel the internal judgment that had colored her experiences thus far. The first guests began to trickle in. Sarah's stomach flipped as she watched them glance at the wall. Some exchanged looks, others read the materials with curiosity. As each guest sat down to contribute, the collective sigh of anonymity filled the air. Sarah began to see people pull out their pens with sincerity. Each note became a testament to shared humanity, the pain and joy woven together inexplicably. Then a voice broke through her reverie, a familiar one that sent a flood of apprehension crashing against her newly forged resolve. "What a whimsical idea," said Claire, the bride's cousin, her tone dripping with condescension. "A wall full of amateur scribbles. How quaint." The words hit Sarah like a slap. For a moment, her heart sank, and every self-affirming thought began to unravel. The shadows of judgment, once she thought she could withstand, threatened to descend once more. But then she caught herself. Why was she allowing Claire's perception to shape her view? This wall, this moment, was still created with intent. It had taken vulnerability, something Claire would never understand amid her lofty airs. "Actually, it's been rather uplifting," Sarah replied, her steadiness surprising even herself. The tone was measured, holding a direct challenge to Claire's dismissiveness. "People seem to be engaging in a way I didn't expect." The conversation shifted as more guests began to approach the wall. Each came with a distinct story, filling the space with laughter and reverence. A sense of collective purpose formed, and with it, Sarah felt the stirrings of something transformative within her. As the day unfolded, she found herself navigating conversations that tested more than just her initiative. Each encounter peeled back layers shrouding her insecurities. Confidence surged in waves, inviting deeper discussions, laughter, and even tears. Each moment a validation of her rightful place in the tapestry of this event. But as she reveled in her newfound convictions, the tension still brewed beneath the surface. The wedding was nearing, and her confrontation with those who belittled her efforts wasn't over yet. As the ceremony began to take shape, the reality that she would stand before friends and family in recognition of her endeavor loomed heavy in her chest. This was not merely about the wall anymore. It was the culmination of her unapologetic pursuit. The very foundations of how she perceived herself were shaking, yet she was standing resolute in the face of uncertainty. As the officiant's voice drifted into the air, the moment was upon her to reveal her truth. Would she fear the reception of her ideas or embrace them as an integral part of her journey? The wedding was just the beginning, a stage for confrontation she was not prepared to face. But in the chaos of celebration, Sarah knew she would have to decide if she'd let the foundations of her journey empower her or constrain her into silence once more. Would she rise beyond the moment, or would fear choke her potential? The time had come to face not only the judgment of others, but the most profound judgment of all, her own. The officiant's opening words echoed in Sarah's mind, a distant melody amidst the thunderous pulse of her heartbeat. Her gaze swept over the gathering, the familiar faces now cloaked in a haze of anxiety. Here she was, standing on the precipice of a decision, not solely about the wall, but about her own self-acceptance. As the ceremony unfolded, Sarah felt the weight of expectation press against her, spurring her thoughts into a rapid dance. Memories of her childhood self began to surface. Timid girl stumbling over words in front of an audience, hidden in discomfort rather than confronting it. How often had she allowed the judgments of others to shackle her ambitions? Perhaps today she could finally shatter that mold. The vows exchanged in front of her were more than mere promises. They reverberated with themes of love, honesty, and vulnerability that echoed her own intention behind the wall. Each heartfelt exchange reignited her purpose. Sarah had crafted the wall as a tribute to these very principles, a living testament that stories hold profound strength. Yet it wasn't until now that she fully grasped her role as a storyteller, a curator of experiences that invite connection and bridge divides. As the couple retreated down the aisle, the festive mood began to swell around her. Guests mingled, laughter punctuating the air as delight unfurled like a blooming flower. Yet Sarah felt rooted, a statue amidst the ebullient crowd, the wall still looming in a corner of her mind. It beckoned her to take action, to invite the indulgence of stories both sacred and mundane. Memories of Claire's interruption punctured her bubble, the hollowness of condescension stinging anew. What if she embraced the judgment instead of running from it? Just as she had bravely opened her heart to capture other stories, could she share her own with that same vulnerability? The flickering hesitations ignited a fire in her chest. Driven by a newfound determination, Sarah brushed past the gathering throng with deliberate strides, relishing the gravity of her intent. It wasn't mere bravado, it was an acknowledgement of her journey, each step a bold proclamation against inertia. Approaching the wall, she felt the weight of eyes upon her, a mix of expectation and silent curiosity. With both apprehension and resolve thickening the air around her, Sarah addressed the assembly, her voice steady and meshed with resolve. "Thank you all for being here today and for participating in this wall of stories," she began, sincerity coating each word. In sharing our narratives, we affirm our humanity no matter how it's perceived by others. A soft murmur of approval, the first true ripples of engagement fluttered through the crowd. Sarah pressed on, words flowing like a lifeline. This is not just about me or this couple, it's about all of us. Each note represents a life lived in love and struggle. It captures our place in this shared existence. Our stories connect us, and that is something truly beautiful. As she spoke, her confidence surged with each passing sentiment. Faces once uncertain began to illuminate. Some nodded in recognition, others stepped closer as if bonding over a shared truth hidden beneath the surface. Invigorated by this connection, Sarah began to recount a brief story of her own, a vulnerability wrapped in an anecdote that seduced the audience to listen rather than critique. She spoke of her first love, of the heartbreak that carved her identity, and how it drove her to question the very fabric of affection. Her laughter twisted into tears as she shared the transformative moment she had despaired in darkness before ultimately rediscovering her own worth. In those moments, Sarah let go of the chains Claire's words had forged. They clattered to the ground, a symphony of freedom that resonated in her chest. She wasn't merely sharing her story, she was illuminating a path for others to share theirs. As the crowd melded into a chorus of sentiments, voices rose in support. Distant judgments transformed into threads of connection. Together, they entwined, weaving a tapestry of love that anchored her within the narrative. Just as Sarah's heart surged with triumph, a flicker of familiar skepticism emerged at the edge of the crowd. There stood Claire, arms crossed, her expression unreadable. The moment of confrontation was near, a collision between skepticism and resilience. Would Sarah stand firm in her revelation, or would the echoes of self-doubt rise once more? In that volatile air, a certainty washed over her. Today was a pivotal juncture, but the journey was just beginning. Would she define her identity anew, sowing unity from difference, or falter in the face of derision? The questions loomed, precarious and urgent, as the shadows of doubt danced at the periphery of her newly reclaimed strength. As Sarah stood before the wall, the vibrant colors of memory and connection wearing thin between her and Claire, the applause from the crowd felt like a double-edged sword. She could sense Claire's judgment like an unbearable weight, grounding her while simultaneously pulling at the strings of her freshly found courage. The familiar walls of self-doubt began to rise within her once again, threatening to imprison her burgeoning confidence. Was it worth it? The question sliced through the air of celebration like a sudden gust of wind. Claire's voice, laden with sarcasm, attempted to break the fragile web of unity Sarah had woven with her words. It pricked the moment with discomfort, yet Sarah stood firm, inhaling the energy of the assembly as if it could fortify her resolve. "This is not about just me, Claire," Sarah replied, her voice steadying into a defiant calmness. "It's about the stories that bind us together. You might not understand, but there's something powerful in vulnerability." She felt the warmth of support from her audience surrounding her as they leaned in closer, eager to witness a confrontation born out of shared experience. Claire scoffed, pushing against the boundaries of civility. "You think you're changing the world with this wall? It's just a bunch of sentimental nonsense. Not everyone is going to hold hands and sing Kumbaya." Determination flickered in Sarah's chest. This was an opportunity, not just for herself, but for others who might feel stifled by cynicism. She could feel the pulse of sincerity radiate from her being, and it urged her to lean into the conflict. This wall isn't about changing the world, but it could change someone's day, someone's perspective, she pressed, her heart racing faster. Sometimes that's enough. As she spoke, Sarah observed Claire's expression shifting. An imperceptible crack appeared in her stoic facade. It sparked a flicker of hope within Sarah. Perhaps if she could share something real, something raw, it would not only resonate with the crowd, but also penetrate the armor Claire had wrapped around herself. Drawing from a deeper well of her past, Sarah recalled a moment when her own cynicism had been eclipsed by an unexpected act of kindness. She shared how, as a girl struggling through crushing loneliness, a stranger's gesture, a simple smile amid a storm of despair, had lit her path. Each word, each emotion spilled forth, sculpting the narrative that would ground her in the moment. The truth is, Claire, sometimes it's those tiny yet profound connections that redefine us, she asserted, turning her gaze back to the audience. And that's something I refuse to overlook. Heads nodded, smiles bloomed. Sarah could see understanding flickering in the eyes of others, not just confirming her idea, but also elucidating their own experiences. The tension between her and Claire transformed from a battlefield to a bridge when Claire faltered, her fingers loosening from their tight grip across her chest. "I did love you once, you know," Claire finally muttered, her voice swirling with vulnerability. But the admission landed much heavier, resonating in Sarah's chest with an unexpected heaviness. For a moment, a hush echoed through the crowd, an intimate silence built of surprise and speculation. Sarah's heart twisted. The stark honesty of Claire's admission wound through her, instigating a whirlwind of emotions she hadn't prepared. Could they reconcile? Could this confrontation become a moment of bridge building instead of a fault line? An internal war ignited within Sarah. She could feel doubt curling its fingers around her heart again, whispering fears of betrayal, past grievances, and the possibility of yet another rejection. However, the quiet resolve awakened in her. Wasn't it also about moving forward, about reclaiming relationships that once brought joy? Taking a single, deliberate breath, she faced Claire. "Maybe we should start sharing our stories, for real, together." The challenge hung in the air, thick with anticipation and possibility. Would Claire accept this new invitation, this call to vulnerability? Or would her skepticism triumph over the emerging potential of connection? The moment thickened with uncertainty as Sarah awaited her response, her own heart drumming a desperate rhythm, longing for a resolution, yet wary of the unpredictable path ahead. Claire's eyes widened and a weighty silence settled between them. It was as if the world had momentarily paused, leaving Sarah to float in the uncertainty of that moment. Sarah's heart raced. Every beat echoed the dual rhythm of hope and fear. In that fragile space, a myriad of unanswered questions hung heavily in the air, surrounding them like an invisible fog. What if admitting vulnerability only led to more pain? What if Claire was still unwilling to break the walls that had kept them apart all this time? But as Sarah reflected on her own journey, every faltering step through doubt and every inch gained in vulnerability, another layer of determination began to peel away her fear. This was an invitation, not just for Claire, but also for herself. "Why not?" Claire finally whispered, her voice barely above a murmur. Still, the hesitant agreement felt monumental. It gave Sarah a surge of resolve. She realized this was both a personal and a professional crossroads, a moment of raw truth that stretched wider than the physical space they occupied. "There's a library in the little town just north of here. It's not much, but..." Sarah paused, her enthusiasm bubbling over beneath her poised exterior. What if we met there, shared stories over coffee? No expectations, just you and me trying to understand one another again. Claire's posture shifted, her arms crossed tightly across her chest as if pondering the proposition. Sarah could see the gears turning in her mind. She sensed Claire's resistance. Years of emotional barricading would not crumble easily. But as the silence lingered, a glimmer of something shifted in Claire's expression. Curiosity, perhaps. "Are you sure you want to do this?" Claire finally asked, her tone cautious but softened. "I mean, it's been a long time." The sincerity behind her words ignited in Sarah a wave of hope. "More than anything," Sarah replied, feeling the depth of her own truth in those words. It was a risk, one that would require more bravery than she had ever summoned before. We owe it to ourselves. We owe it to what we shared once. I don't want to be afraid anymore. Not of you. Not of us. Claire's lips twitched, caught between a frown and a reluctant smile. "Okay, the library then, but I won't hold back if you come at me with your touchy-feely nonsense." "Fair enough," Sarah chuckled, the tension easing as honesty flickered to life. Claire's facade was still hard, but it felt themselves inching closer to a shared understanding. As Sarah stepped back into the vibrant energy of the crowd, she felt lighter. There was still trepidation in her heart, but the protective armor of doubt slicked a little. This step toward reconnection was a testament to her growth, not just professionally, but personally. In this moment, she realized she was willing to navigate the uncomfortable. By extending her hand toward Claire, she was forging a new path for herself, leaning into the very vulnerability she had once struggled to embrace. Thinking ahead, this new chapter could lead to unexpected partnerships, perhaps even collaborations that would challenge her creativity further. What if a shared storytelling project emerged from their renewed connection? As she descended the stage, adrenaline still thrumming within her, she caught sight of one of her mentors. Their eyes met, and Sarah felt a surge of affirmation. This wasn't just about training the next generation of storytellers. It was about rediscovering her own narrative in this evolving landscape. Yet, as Sarah stepped off the platform into the mingling crowd of familiar faces, doubt pulsed again at the periphery of her mind. Would she be strong enough to continue this path of honesty? What revelations awaited her in the library? Would the stories they exchange heal old wounds, or would they unearth pain buried too deep? The uncertain thrill hung in the air, laden with the anticipation of new beginnings. The moment of truth was looming just out of reach, and Sarah felt the thrill of discovery ignite within her once more. The drive to the library felt eternal, with the horizon blurring between the past and the possibility of what lay ahead. Each mile carried layers of expectation and worry, oscillating like the rhythm of her breath. Sarah's fingers tightened around the steering wheel as she mentally rehearsed the moment she would finally see Claire again. A knot of anticipation formed in her stomach, mixing with a flicker of doubt that whispered, "What if this doesn't go as planned?" Arriving at the library, the familiar facade appeared inviting under the warm afternoon sun, yet the atmosphere was charged with trepidation. She stepped inside, the scent of aged paper and wooden shelves taking her back to another time, a time when the world felt less complicated and friendship was uncomplicated. Today felt different. Today held the promise of confrontation and maybe even reconciliation. As she searched for a quiet spot, her thoughts raced. She understood now that this meeting was more about unearthing forgotten truths than simply sharing pleasantries over coffee. She ran her fingers over her notes, reminders of the personal stories she wanted to share, and crafted dialogues that mattered. But what if her words fell flat? What if they only served to highlight the chasms of misunderstanding? Moments later, Claire entered, her presence illuminating the muted corners of the room. A familiar mix of unease and excitement surged through Sarah. She wore the same stoic facade Sarah remembered well, yet her eyes betrayed a hint of uncertainty. They locked eyes, a silent acknowledgement of the journey brought them to this point. The echoes of their past reverberated in the space between them. "Hey," Claire said, her voice slightly shaky, a far cry from the steady confidence Sarah had anticipated. "Hey," Sarah replied, forcing a smile that mirrored her own uncertainty. She gestured toward a table by the window, bathed in soft sunlight, a metaphorical spotlight on the unspoken history they shared. As they settled in, Sarah initiated with stories of her recent endeavors, her passion for storytelling pushing through the nervousness. Claire listened, her brows furrowing slightly, as if trying to connect the dots between Sarah's words and the distance that had grown between them. Yet, as the conversation unfolded, Sarah was reminded of the power of vulnerability. With every story shared, the walls between them began to soften. "I've been working with kids on creative writing," Sarah mentioned, the excitement brightening her tone. "It's not just about crafting narratives, it's about empowering them to discover their voices." A fleeting moment of recognition sparked in Claire's eyes. "You always had a talent for that," she replied honestly. "But I've been stuck. I've let fear guide my life for far too long." That admission hung heavy in the air, an invitation to delve deeper. Sarah felt the stirring within herself, a mix of compassion and urgency. "We all have fears, Claire. It's what we do with them that counts. I had a choice between letting mine cage me or using them as a launching pad." With each exchange, a shared understanding began to form. Claire's defenses, though slow to fall, began to show evidence of fraying. Their discussions shifted from surface-level chit-chat to genuine self-reflection. As they unearthed the layers of their past, both Sarah and Claire rediscovered feelings they had long wanted to suppress but could no longer ignore. But the moment was still laced with tension. The uncertainty of whether this honesty could reshape their future lingered palpably. "Why did we let it go on for so long?" Claire suddenly questioned, piercing through the air. "I think we were both afraid," Sarah admitted, her heart racing at the vulnerability of the moment. "But right now, in this space, I want to create something new, together." The tension crackled, mingling with the weight of their shared histories. As they stared into the possibility of rebuilding their connection, Sarah understood it was time for a key decision. Would they embrace the risk of exploring emotions long hidden, or retreat into old patterns of doubt? Suddenly aware that the library's warm sunlight was fading, Sarah realized the moment was drawing near, the moment to confront their truths, the hidden parts of themselves that could either bind them together or push them apart. What were they truly willing to sacrifice for each other? Would they grapple with the question of whether their renewed connection could withstand the challenges that lay ahead? The minutes stretched before them as they sat in a space filled with unspoken words. Sarah's heart raced, fueled by the momentum of Claire's admission and the weight of their histories. Should she gently broach the topic that pulsed under the surface? What had driven them apart in the first place? In the hushed library, silence morphed into a thick wall, one that Sarah could feel pressing against her chest. "You talked about being stuck," Sarah ventured, her voice wavering yet hopeful. "What do you think that really means?" She leaned forward, seeking the compass of Claire's thoughts, desperate to navigate the contours of their shared past. Claire's gaze fell onto the table, tracing the grains in the wood as if they could retrieve lost pieces of time. "I thought I had to meet expectations, my parents' dreams, society's boxes. But I never paused to ponder my own desires, she responded, her tone laced with regret. I lost sight of who I really am, who I wanted to be. Sarah could see the turmoil etched on Claire's face, and it shook her. You mentioned fear guiding your life, she said gently. What would it mean to let go of that fear? Claire's expression twisted into a mixture of contemplation and doubt. It sounds exhilarating, but terrifying. Her voice dropped, revealing her vulnerability. What if I make the wrong choices? What if I end up worse than where I started? That revelation echoed deep within Sarah. She too had wrestled with the specter of what-ifs that threatened to haunt her ambitions. The stories she shared with children were not just tales of imagination. They were instruments of liberation, a means of challenging the fears that constrained. But what if those wrong choices guide you toward discovering who you are? It's the missteps that often lead to the most profound revelations. The clock on the wall ticked away the seconds, each sound punctuating the silence growing thick between them. Sarah's conviction began to crystallize. She wasn't merely there to offer friendship. She was there to ignite an awakening, to light a spark beneath Claire's hesitations. You can start small, Sarah suggested, her excitement bubbling. What if we came up with a creative plan together? You know, something to push you gently out of your comfort zone. Explore creative writing, or even just journaling your thoughts. Claire's face flickered with intrigue, but the shadow of fear still loomed. But I don't know if I have what it takes, she murmured, her eyes clouded with uncertainty. What if I fail? It's okay to fail, Claire, Sarah urged, diving deeper into this moment of connection. You know, success isn't a straight path. It's full of detours. What matters is that you embrace the journey, every piece of it, every imperfect part, because that's where growth lives. Just then, Claire's expression shifted, an ember of hope igniting in her eyes. You really believe that? Absolutely. The word resonated between them, solidifying their vulnerability into an invitation for courage. Claire smiled faintly, a crack forming in the armor she meticulously crafted. Okay, let's explore this together. As they spoke, Sarah sensed a potential for transformation, not just for Claire, but for herself as well. Perhaps this encounter could not only reignite Claire's passion, but could also fortify Sarah's resolve, bridging a gap that had long felt insurmountable. Feelings they'd buried for years began to claw their way to the surface, and Sarah realized the impending challenge didn't just lie in confronting the past. It lay in crafting an authentic partnership that could withstand the turbulence ahead. The boundaries of risk and reward intertwined as they embarked on this new journey together. But before Sarah could lean further into possibilities, Claire's expression fell into a pensive frown. But what if we pull each other down again? There it was, the fear that threatened to undo them both, looming like an ominous shadow. Would they be able to create a healthier relationship, or was their history too fraught to allow it? As Sarah mulled over the question, the air around them felt charged, as if the library itself was prying open the secrets waiting on the tip of their tongues. Maybe, Sarah started, her heart pounding in her chest, the real challenge lies in our willingness to dive into those fears together, to truly examine what binds us and what holds us back. The weight of that statement filled the room, ripe with potential and ingredients for conflict yet to come. How deep were they willing to dive? And could they dismantle the fears lying beneath? The stakes had climbed higher, and a pivotal confrontation lay just ahead, one that could either break the threads of their connection or reinforce them beyond their imagining. As they sat in that quiet library, the palpable tension between Sarah and Claire began to dissolve like the morning fog kissed by the sun. In that intimate space, weeks of uncertainty culminated in a moment ripe for transformation. There was no turning back. They had pushed past fear and discomfort, steps taken toward healing and reconnection. I guess the real question is, are we ready to take that leap together? Sarah asked, her voice steady and clear against the backdrop of books and whispered conversations. Claire looked up, a flicker of understanding mirrored in her eyes. Together, that feels new, but can we truly count on each other? Her voice quavered with vulnerability, yet there was a burgeoning strength beneath it, a readiness to embrace the risks involved. Trust is built over time, and it requires effort from both sides, Sarah affirmed, feeling an empowering surge course through her. But I believe in your potential, and I believe we can cultivate something real if we're both willing to confront our shared histories. As they exchanged these profound sentiments, Sarah felt her own journey crystallizing into a solidified purpose. To embrace her strengths and vulnerabilities with equal authenticity was an achievement not simply for herself, but a shared victory for them both. The shift was tangible, a unifying thread pulling them closer. I want that too, Claire admitted, her determination rising. I'm tired of feeling stifled, of hiding behind expectations, but the fear of failure, it looms large. It's okay to feel that way, Sarah replied, gently bridging the distance between them. What matters is that we acknowledge it and push through despite that fear. She paused, tapping into her own experiences of navigating rugged paths and the growth that accompanied every stumble. Each time we risk putting ourselves out there, we learn. That's where true growth lies. Claire nodded, her expression shifting from uncertainty to an unspoken recognition of the transformative journey that awaited them. So where do we begin? She asked, a small spark of excitement igniting in her voice. Let's set goals, not large ones, small, actionable steps that nudge us both outside our comfort zones. We could begin with writing prompts, storytelling sessions, or even simply journaling our thoughts, Sarah proposed, the wheels of creativity turning in her mind. She envisioned the healing processes that would ripple not only through their relationship, but also beyond, touching others who grappled with similar struggles. Like a writing group, Claire mused thoughtfully, an invitation for both of us to explore our voices again. The vision seemed to invigorate Claire, and Sarah felt elated watching the spark return to her friend's eyes. Yes, precisely. Sarah exclaimed, her heart racing with excitement. We could invite other women, friends who might need encouragement just like we do. It can be a safe haven. The ideas flowed freely, thoughts intertwined as they mapped out the foundations of a group built on sharing, understanding, and connection. The prospect expanded beyond Sarah's cherished desire for personal growth. It became a shared mission, a bridge connecting past wounds to a future fueled by vulnerability and authenticity. In crafting their norm, both women gained strength from one another, a palpable embodiment of support that began to build resilience. And through that union, they journeyed deeper into their histories, teasing out the threads of unspoken fears while weaving new ones of trust and companionship. As they concluded their session, a feeling of lightness settled upon Sarah. The weight of her earlier worries had transformed into a sense of empowerment. They may have entered the library with heavy hearts, mired in past grievances, but they were leaving with a shared commitment to building something beautiful and lasting. I can hardly believe how far we've come in just one session, Claire said as they stood at the exit, moments from stepping into the rest of their lives. It feels like we've taken a leap, but it also feels like we've just scratched the surface. I agree, Sarah replied, a smile breaking across her face. But every leap counts. Every moment of honesty we offer ourselves is a victory, and I think we're ready to embrace it together. And with those final words, they stepped out hand in hand, invigorated by the possibility that lay ahead. The sunlight streamed down, illuminating the path before them as they took that courageous leap into rebuilding their lives and each other's futures. It was a moment of triumph. For both Sarah and Claire, it marked not just the conclusion of a painful chapter, but the beginning of a new legacy rooted in authenticity, hope, and the kind of steadfast trust that flourishes when nurtured as intended. So, as they drove off, transforming their fears into fuel for compassion and connection, Sarah felt the sweet thrill of personal achievement wash over her. Not only had she shared her own narrative, but she had also created a space for others to voice their stories, a tangible testament to her growth as both a person and a friend. This wasn't merely about her. It was a celebration of what it meant to stand unflinchingly amidst judgment, crafted connections, and reclaimed narratives. There was a profound clarity in that moment. She had learned to walk boldly into her future, and she was eager to share her journey with those who might be waiting for their own breakthroughs. And as the sun dipped below the horizon, Sarah felt a fierce heart surge within her. She had achieved more than she had dared to dream, and she was finally ready to thrive. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and theories about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait even one more second to share.